Tuna wageni watatu, Mheshimiwa Sebastian Kapufi mbunge, ambao ni wadau wa maendeleo kutoka Marekani. Wadau wa maendeleo kutoka Marekani, karibuni sana.
Shalom, Salama, Siemi, Shalom. Greetings to all my brothers, all my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world, whether you're the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel, or you're a Gentile grafted into the house under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. I welcome you this morning. This morning is our Q2UA discussions. This morning is our Q2UA discussions. There has been a lot of things going on throughout the world recently. We have folks that are getting ready to go to war. We have folks that are talking about witnessing or watching for entertainment a civil war hypothetically placed in the United States, and we have literally wars and rumors of wars taking place right now. If we didn't understand or get the memo for this understanding, it should let us all know that we are in a very interesting time of uncertainty. And those times of uncertainty are placed when you are looking at things that, to be quite honest, you really don't want to address. So I have me joining today, Brother Garth. Brother Garth and I will be discussing the Burkina Faso trip later on. We're not going to get into the specifics and the details, but we thank you and we continue to ask for monetary support for the trip.
Shalom, family, and thank you for having me this morning, Brother Karis.
All right, shalom. So before I get into that, let me just make sure I let you all know today is Quest Unite Africa Friday. And this segment is dedicated to the mission of Quest Unite Africa, which is to build critical infrastructure and economic development on the continent for the benefit of Africa and its people worldwide. Worldwide. We're spread out in the diaspora. If you can allow me at least 15, let me say 20 minutes. Allow me 20 minutes to rant. I was talking a little bit earlier today when I just got on. I was running late, family. If you had to know what was going on with me, I was having some health issues this week. And generally speaking, I'm a pretty healthy person, generally speaking. But I had to have a change in my diet. I was doing the exercise, but my diet wasn't all the way there. And the funny thing is that the Most High will, put you on your back, sort of say, not to just destroy you, but to give you that opportunity to say, hey, look, you have to think about things differently, look at things differently, eat things differently. So that's been my journey this week. Um, and doing so, it did affect my sleeping and things of that nature. At about 11 o'clock, I was yawning and tired and everything else. It was pretty bad, and when that happens, I'm not productive, and that's not good, especially as we're planning to head on out to Burkina Faso here in the next couple of weeks. 3 weeks to be exact. We'll be gone in about um, around May, early May. I just say 3 weeks, but it's early May. So yesterday, a couple things happened, and it was funny because I was on the phone with Sister Shar when this took place. When the story was first reported, I was flipping through some channels, and it was on ESPN. Because I'm going to paint a picture of this and how this goes. It was on ESPN, and they weren't really, eulogizing, but in that segment, they were demonizing. They're demonizing the man, his legacy, everything else. Because why? Because of the, and he was never found guilty on this, but he was found liable for the murders. That's the whole thing. He was found liable, so he had to pay a monetary penalty. And hey, just as many of us, what happens if we have to pay a penalty that we just can't pay, or do something that we just can't do? You want to know what? It's in the trash. Let the Most High take care of it. It'll be figured out eventually. And it may not ever be paid in my lifetime. So when that happened, and I was looking at it, I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I believe OJ did it. Yeah, don't get me wrong.
Me too.
Yeah, everybody knew OJ did it. He just had a very good attorney.
Oh boy, did I mean it's crazy. Like they literally, I mean, when I wanted to be a lawyer, my lawyer brain, when I was rewatching because they were doing the docu series that was like 6 parts that they showed like a while ago back, and I was
Mm-hmm.
watching it, and they were literally just nitpicking how they collected the evidence. And if you really see how they were collecting the evidence, because at the time I was too young, I was just like five, what, maybe 4 or 5 when this whole thing was happening. Like you see how they were sloppily like collecting evidence, and that gave them a loophole to you know to
A
give him like a what do they call it, a reasonable, they
reasonable
didn't have
doubt.
a reasonable doubt, that's the standard, yeah.
Reasonable doubt. Yeah, because the reasonable doubt was the fact that you had racism. And I'm going to tell you the story of modern racism. The story of modern racism was seen with OJ. with the white wife, ex-wife, all the other yada yadas, came up on the platform to an establishment that, he didn't necessarily play the game. He needed to go away, and he never did. And he kept finding somehow in some way to get through and go through and move through. And really, when you meet that shelf life in the societal order of white supremacy, it is what it is. You can hate it, not hate it. You can understand, not understand. If you're a Gentile out there and that vexes you, I'm sorry, but I want you to start to really understand how this goes, because I really want us to get the mind of where we're at as a society. This isn't going to be a normal Q2UA discussion live. Because we're really talking about now the underlying current of this society as it relates to the state of Black folks, for common vernacular. As Black people, we understand. I don't care if you want to call yourself a Israelite, a Kemetic, an Egyptian. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Ethnically speaking, we are a target and have been a target. And when you are able to go to a limelight, whether or not it was the Most High that promoted you there, or you're able to find your way there through the hands of men, you are requested and required to perform a different way. And we see that. We see that with Lloyd Austin. He's the Secretary of Defense, absolutely. And he's going to tap dance and tap dance and tap dance. And if anything were called to be as a resounding board in terms of something that had happened or occurred that was of the detriment of Black folks, at his position, at his authority, and at his duty, he would not be allowed to say anything, because he would know what he would risk if a inconvenient truth was uttered. If you didn't know about the State of the Union of Black people, why do you think they never have the State of a Union of Black Americans? Why do you think they never had that? And simply it's stated because nobody wants to go on up there and just speak blatant lies. The State of the Union for Black folks, descendants of enslaved Africans here in the United States, is very, very abysmal. We're suffering from the worst rates of economic despair when it comes to working, jobs that are actually full-time jobs, that's actually paying all the bills. Because over the last 4 years, it's been a very convenient excuse that if you were a professional or at a professional level or had, certifications, degrees, and other status of education and understanding, well, now you've been on the chopping block. And now it's been our people that we've seen this, that we've been hemmed up. And our people understand this and they know this, and then we start to play the game of the not just the crab in a barrel, but it's actually something more nefarious that, I want to be the only token left, because if not, then my value's in trouble, because there was affirmative action that at least gave me some sort of a protective hedge of, what do they like to call it? Diversity. And then you realize that you're not in that diversity stream that they're looking for. But they still have to keep enough of us around, because if not, then they understand that they're walking a tightrope of economic peril, or being economically imperiled. Because why? Because if they see that there's Black folks complaining on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, hey, this is a problem. We're running into a problem. We're engaging in a problem. And this problem isn't just affecting me, it's affecting every one of us. If there's enough of that messaging and platforms that they can't control, this is why you just had earlier this week Mitch McConnell saying, this is the news. Mitch McConnell was saying that they have to get rid of TikTok. They got to ban it. Why? Because that is a dissenting voice that they don't want to have. It is a counter voice. It is a countermeasure. See, what we started to understand, we were trying to have these national days of boycotts and everything else. Remember, that was in 2020 and 2021. And in 2022, it kind of died out and fizzled out last year.
But in my opinion, I think we were all on code to boycott Nike, because I haven't bought a Nike product since that whole Kyrie thing. I mean, I'm just speaking for myself.
Yeah, no, that's true. But since then, folks have been buying Nike.
Oh yeah, I
Since,
know.
since
Yeah.
since then, there hasn't been a resounding, stimulus to get our people on code. I mean, it just hasn't. And for the system, you know what? That's great. The system enjoys that our people cannot get on code. Because why? Because the people that do not have solidity or solidarity is a people that can be picked off one by one. You are the sheep that's able to be ravished by the wolves, because you can't even see that the wolves are right there in your midst.
A nation divided cannot stand, and that's where we're at currently.
Well, we've been a people divided. We've been a people that's conquered, and we're a people that continue to get deleted. That's just how it goes. Now,
For lack of knowledge,
yeah, we are
unfortunately.
destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I want to really, I want to go back to the O.J. Simpson article. I'm not going to put on in here, but you can Google it. You'll see some salacious articles from a lot of our prime folks. This article I was reading was from the Daily Mail. And that is to me, that's a very racist news outlet. So don't expect anything much. But what it did tell me was, look, this is what they think about us. They want your bones even when you're dead. And I had to look at that article because, folks, they look at OJ. Okay, yeah. But they also look at the fact that OJ to them took a chunk out of their vanity. He was a black man that got away with murder of two white people, a white woman and a white man.
That's unheard of.
That's unheard of. No. And they wanted a modern lynching that they were never able to receive. And that's even more unheard of. And then they tried to get him on set up on a robbery thing. Oh yeah. All the things that you are not supposed to do in society, OJ did it. To me, it was almost as though like OJ was that modern Samson.
You know what? I was literally about to say that, but you said it first because I thought I was gonna sound crazy if I said it. But I'm like, yo, this dude's Samson.
And what did he do? He died in their temple of Dagon. And you want to know what it did? You want to know what it did? It didn't shake their. The collapse wasn't a collapse that they thought it was going to be. The collapse was actually a collapse on them because now we start to understand how we are a victual even unto death. They want to tell us, oh, you know what? We are born indebted. Yes, we're born indebted and we die indebted. What do they care about in this system? They care about money. They care about wealth more than others. Remember the paradox that's being shown here. There's a paradigm because we don't go and tell the white community, hey, white folks, can't we all just forgive and forget and move past it? Let somebody in the black community say that right now on one of their shows or their channels. Let's just forget about it. Let's just forget. Let's use the same requirement that you tell us. Forget about it. Oh, no, we can't forget that. No, because if we forget that, there's lawlessness. And if there's lawlessness, right, they give you those points. Those are their counterpoints. And then you say, yeah, exactly. And that's what you tell us. And then there continues to be lawlessness that's wrecked on our people because of your same counterpoints. Obadiah 1 is in full effect. Because they're destroying themselves on their own measure. Wait a second, you want us to adhere to this. However, you don't adhere to it yourself. So when I saw that yesterday, it was funny. I saw that yesterday. Spoke to the board for a little bit, and then I went to see Civil War. And, honestly, just in my opinion, honestly, the Civil War movie was a pretty good movie. And they make allusions and allegories that we see today. Everybody thinks everything is fine and everything is dandy, but they don't want to tell you now they got guns pointed at you. When everything's fine and everything's dandy. They were allowing the press to go through, and I had to think about this because they're literally telling you how they think. See, you don't have things provided to the public that hasn't been allowed. There's no messaging that has not been excruciatingly allowed or nitpicked and things of that nature. And I had to look at that and I had to draw these inferences because why? Because they will never tell you directly how they work. It is always up to us to infer just how they do things. So it was funny because what was going on, the protagonist of the story was meeting a lot of the antagonists, right? The folks that were there as the and nobody had a moral high ground. That was a funny thing. Nobody really had a moral high ground because even even when you were looking at the press, there was even some moral deficiencies with different things. But I'm going to tell you that the opening scene of the movie was very, very telling. And it's a spoiler alert. It's a spoiler alert. They used a white woman with a self deleted bomb strapped to her chest to run into the crowd while she was waving an American flag. I said, oh my goodness.
That's crazy.
The sacred cows. The sacred cows. Why is that important? What's the symbology? The symbology is if she can do it, then guess what? Everybody needs to jump on that bandwagon. I'm going to tell you this. 20 years ago, if we were to see something like that, 20 years ago, we would have looked at that and we would have booed and folks would have walked on out the theaters and, they would have boycotted 20 years ago. I looked at that and I looked around the theater to see who was going to up and leave. And nobody left. Because why? Because that image is now tolerable. Because why? Because look, the love of many had waxed cold. And where the location that they were at, there were our people amongst there trying to get water. This is the Civil War movie. It's called Civil War. It's just called civil war. And so, I'm not going to drag you down with a lot of the things. I'm not going to give you any spoiler alerts per se. But what I do want to make note of was the reason that the press had a level of independent autonomy is because there's a big system that occurs when you are getting UN money. See, there were so many things that were there. Oh my goodness. So they go to a refugee camp. The refugee camp, they had the blue vest. And it was very telling. They didn't want you to see who was operating the refugee camp. But understand the inference of if you go into a refugee camp, you're being cleared by a United Nations person or security personnel, some sort of a security mission. That means boots on the ground with blue helmets, but they gave you the blue smocks, the vest, just for the imagery. Because if you were to see the real deal before you get entered or greeted by someone that's there to show you where the chow is, to show you where the bunks are, the cots, you're going through a security protocol. Plain and simple. They didn't want to tell you who was running the security protocol apparatus. They didn't want to tell you who was running the security measures, who were the sentries. And to me, I thought that that was a telling part. I said, "Oh, they're gonna tell you, but they're not gonna really tell you." See, you got to. There's some breakdown. There's some breakdown to this. We may have to be talking about this for a little bit. And I'll open up the lines because I know that when our folks see that, more than likely this weekend, they'll see how things go. But I want you all to understand I was looking at some very big tidbits in there to see what was going on. The dictatorship of the quote unquote US in the movie, they were being threatened not just by one front, but by two fronts. You had the Southern Front and then you had the Western Front. And they were all trying to race to seize power to ensure that their brand of America was represented. Obviously, they wanted to tell you, in not so many words, that there's a liberal and there's a conservative. There was a liberal and conservative rush to regain control
I can only imagine.
of the country. Yeah. The Western forces was that conservative rush, and they basically had UN backed help. And you don't hear anything about the Southern Alliance because the Southern Alliance they got stopped up because they weren't getting any help from the other Carolinas. And I had to think about it. Why weren't they getting any help from the other Carolinas? Because plain and simple, nobody was helping them. See, when I tell you that this ideology that we have here in the United States is basically germane and generic to the United States, it truly is. At the end of the day, France, Germany, maybe even the UK may have a spell of vanity and a stink of of white supremacy. But at the end of the day, they'll always try to go back to Africa and behind closed doors, and they'll try to say, hey, we really didn't mean that. We're our best intentions. We're partners. We're this. We're that. Oh, they'll try to put on the tears and the fireworks and everything else. This is why they're mad that that hadn't worked before. So to me, it seemed as though there was a global trigger of sorts that the new liberal force that was the Western forces was the new number one, contender. Because at that time, no one was in there trying to help the United States. And it was fascinating when that was said because just a few years ago, Greenland had been repurchased back from Denmark. And at the end of the movie, when one of the Secret Service agents, and this was it was the only, like, I don't know, person of color, I don't know what. You'll have to see, you'll have to tell me. But she was the mouthpiece. She came on out as a mouthpiece to talk to the Western forces. This was a Secret Service agent. She said, well, I'm here for terms for the president, as they had entered the White House. And the Western forces, they had black folks in the Western forces. And you had to understand there was some sort of a dichotomy there that they didn't want you to really, you had to have it inferred. They weren't going to just put that on out there. It was inferred. Every single soldier of the quote unquote the US was white.
This was the liberal side or the conservative side?
No, the conservative side basically got stopped up. They couldn't really advance, past the Carolinas. And the the Western Alliance was coming from like a northerly route from Charlottesville down into DC. And as the folks took off out of New York, you had terrorist activities unfolding in New York, and the terrorists were literally the white folks. Can't make it up. That was the movie. That was the movie. And then as they were going through the towns that were still controlled by, U.S. forces, quote unquote, all the soldiers were all white. And in the camps, they didn't want to tell you who was in the camps. Hey, shalom, brother Mike.
Come on, brother.
So yeah, so they didn't want to tell you who was in the camps. But when you saw that was in the camps, it was some white folks, but it was mainly black folks, Hispanics, and Asians. And when you had gone into one of the places, you were seeing that they were controlled by white folks. The ones that were still quote unquote normal, but they were still sniping people that didn't quote look like them. And it was interesting because one of the journalists, who was an old black man, but he was very, very light skin, light bright.
Oh yeah. In the previews, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, his glasses.
Yes. So he was able to have afforded most access that he shouldn't have had as a journalist.
Oh, I see where you're going with this. That inference, I just, my spidey sense tingled a bit to see where you're going with this.
So with that, he was they were he was made in a position that he was comfortable enough that he could go with them. He was comfortable enough that they were comfortable enough with him that, he could get the ride and get to where he needed to go. And then when he had passed away, you know, um, he was trying to be careful and he was trying to say, look, we need to leave. He's like, because I smell death here. And he ended up in that scene. He ended up passing away. I'm not going to give you all the spoilers, but he did. And it was a telling kind of memo of what was said about the journalist from the blonde character.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
No, it's not Gwyneth Paltrow. It's
Oh,
another
Kirsten Dunst. My bad.
Kirsten Dunst. Yeah,
No, my head.
yeah.
I get them mixed up sometimes. No, let me shut up.
No, she had said, look, don't feel sad for the way he died, because there were other places and other opportunities where he could have had a worse death. And I'm like, so you're telling me that they're not trying to speak to black folks here? I think there was a whole bunch of dog whistles. I mean, to be honest, there are a whole bunch of dog whistles that I could see that they were trying to play on out. And if you weren't careful, you would feed into that narrative. Now with that, I had to wonder, and I was thinking about that last night. I went to bed, and then I got up. I was thinking about it. I said, Father, I said, this isn't going to be a normal Q2UA discussion show, because they're literally trying to show what's getting ready to go on. And I'm going to tell you this, family. I'm going to say this. Do not be surprised if you see something going on that enacts what they're trying to do, right? It's not imitate art meets imitation or whatever, art imitates reality. No, we're in a time that literally movies are trying to dictate. Movies are trying to program.
Witchcraft, sorcery, lesser magic is what they call it.
hmm Movies are trying to program reality. They're trying to program what they want in the reality. And so when I looked at that and I said, I get it, I see what's happening, I see what's going on. You know, I'm analytical. I am an analytical person. I always have to analyze, I always have to think about, I always have to see, and I'm like, what would trigger something like this? So the Western forces, you know, you first get introduced to them. They're in their, you know, they're somewhere, some in their special forces outfit, and without a long going to a long story, they were doing some special forces tactics to go through and clear a sniper. And they were literally giving you that this is that special forces mindset. And I had to think about it. I said, "Oh yeah, I see who they're trying to either placate to or try to add some validity to, because it's like, yeah, man, you know, if I was there, I'd be doing the same thing." And I had to look at that. I said, that's the bird whistle, or that's the dog whistle for white folks. And what they're trying to do, they're trying to get them used to, if you have somebody in a uniform that you used to have and they're not in the faction, and you now have to take off your uniform to defeat and destroy somebody, there has to be a different way of thinking. Your thought process has to have somehow turned the loop or turned the corner to where, you know, this is now an enemy and you're having the same amount of depravity that you've had with other folks, other enemies across the world. And you could tell it was like a Western Forces Special Operations unit, because, you know, they had their tactical gear on, and then they had, you know, Hawaiian shirts, or, you know, their their defunct default 511 type gear. And then the journalists were there taking the pictures and, you know, just showing them. That was the job, was just to show, just to show you. Because the narration was, you know, even for the movie, was, you infer this. You see what it is that we're saying. That was the name of the game for the movie. So if you're Jared just looking at things getting exploding and things, you know, doing that. No, the only blue hat was from the press. The only blue hat was from the press. That was the Easter egg. I was there looking at, trying to see all the Easter eggs that I could find.
But let me ask you something. You know, I haven't seen the movie. Um, what was the state of the United States, Iran, and
I want
Israel?
to I want to get to that. I want to
Oh,
get to
my
that.
bad. Because I mean, I ain't seen it now. I mean, I just
No,
want, you know.
they didn't give you that synopsis. They didn't want to give you that synopsis, because I would say this. You had to have some very detrimental activities happening throughout the state of the world to where the US started to fight itself. And not just in the state of the world, but also at home. And so I could ascertain this. Whatever they had in terms of an international policy or any other types of, international whatever, that was gone. If they had unions, or excuse me, embassies, those are gone. Those were closed down. Those were defunct. You get to a point that you actually have to pay for renting property on government facilities. You actually have to pay for it. You just don't get something handed to you. No, you pay for it. So let me put this all on out there in the movie. And then I want to dive into a little bit deeper. In the movie, they were in like Western Pennsylvania. They had gotten out of the city. They even rolled through Newark, through Newark. Yeah, Garth, they were actually on your neck of the woods, getting into 78, around your neck of the woods. And the black guy, he said, take your camera out because you don't want to miss this. All the interstates were just all clogged up. It was all just in shambles. So people were just staying home. They weren't doing anything. They were just trying to survive. Whatever they had locally is what they had. And they were trying to get gas. So think about this because this to me was the most telling. Because you have regional places for where gas is stored and gas things of that nature. They roll up to the gas station and there's 3 armed guards at the gas station. And they had the little press thing on their Ford Excursion. They had it, kitted on out that it had more. It could sustain some things. They had the off-road tires, all the good stuff, because they worked for Reuters. They worked for Reuters. And what ended up happening was that when they went to the gas station, the person said, can I help you? And they said, yeah, we need some gas. Um, what does $300 worth of gas get us? Keep this in mind, family. This is it. She asked, what does $300 of gas get us? She's the guy there with the gun was telling her $300 doesn't even get you a cheeseburger. Hyperinflation. $300 doesn't even get you a cheeseburger. And they wanted to get gas. Now, here's the crazy thing about this. Now, listen up. Here's the crazy thing about this with this scene. This is the most telling scene. I want you all to know, if you don't understand the mission of Quest to Unite Africa, if you don't understand what we're doing with Quest to Unite Africa, with Region 6 Council for Diaspora Affairs and the likes, I want you all to really understand this, because it was captured so brilliantly in the movie. I was talking to my friend Christian about this exact same thing or scene in the movie. Because when I leave countries, I bring over their monetary value. I have some dinar and other things. The saddest thing is I had to cash some of that in back in 2021 when I was having a very hard time financially. But there's still denominations that I hold on to. I even brought back some T shillings. Oh, and trust and believe, I'm bringing back some Burkina Faso and whatever they have.
Yeah, I don't think they're dealing with that Frank. Was it Frank or something?
No, they're not dealing with the franc anymore.
Yeah, that's
No,
what I thought. Yeah, they changing their language. They going back into their, their language. They are dead serious.
exactly. But let me go back and let me focus back on this scene because this is something. Because I had said something to the Reeves about this. I said, did you bring back some T shillings? He said, no. He said, I just spent everything I had or I exchanged it back. I said, no, man. I said, because I told this to Walt. I said, hey, listen, brother Walt, it's always a good idea to bring that with you, especially right now, because you don't know what that currency, that denomination, that monetary value will look like in the future. And if you have just a little bit on you, you never know how and what that worth and that value could be. Because going back to the scene in the movie, let me tell you this. The character played by Kirsten Dunst, she said, no, 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 no. Not $300. 300 Canadian dollars. And the man's eyes lit up. And he said, yeah, you got yourself a bargain. To fill up on a tank of gas and 2 containers. Because I want our people to understand they know. And I just saw some things in their headlines about, oh well, the U.S. isn't really as divided as they think it is. But they don't want to tell you that the U.S. is divided. They want to tell you everything's looking good in the stock market, everything is looking great here, and it's like, well, you're about to fight wars on 5 different fronts. Nothing's looking good when you're trying to fight in Taiwan, when you're trying to do something in Ukraine, when you're trying to potentially do something in that Eastern Mediterranean nation, and in the Strait of Hormuz, and in the Red Sea, and in Venezuela, and in North Korea. You got to remember. Because what they're trying to say is that Canada was the most stable and actually had the most stable monetary device. Because if the US is in a civil war, all monies outside of US money is going to be stable. And you have Kosovo, and you have Moldova. Man, the list goes on and on. The list literally goes on and on. So then, I would say, with all of that information there, what's the inference? What can you pick on up and put together? Yes, California and Texas left the Union. Because why? Because they had a stronger position on monetary assets. So, see, they were still all using the dollar. But that's what they're fighting to get to DC because why? Because even their dollar is in jeopardy. Because they were talking about, look, they're trying to go through to stabilize the situation, trying to go through to stabilize the situation. And then when they made it into DC, they made it worse. They were destroying all of Washington, D.C. So, eventually they got the president, and the president was killed by, spoiler alert, a black woman with a black man standing at the head.
You said a black man and a black woman. What color was the president?
And he was white.
Oh my goodness.
I
Oh
said,
boy.
yeah, those
Yeah.
are the dog whistles.
Yep. That
Looking for
shouldn't be
that
any
guinea pig.
clearer.
They
Now,
put the
now,
guinea pig on the movie.
here's the thing. It was funny. I had a friend of mine. He had called. He had called like literally. I spoke to him right after I watched the movie because this is the Civil War movie. It's called Civil War 2024. Civil War. It's coming out in theaters today. I went to see it yesterday because they had it early, so I'm like, all right, I'll see it. I look at this because my friend had called. He said, Brother Karras, he said, do you know that Trump was in Atlanta and he was getting Chick-fil-A at a Chick-fil-A that was owned, a restaurant location that was owned by a black family. And when he went on in there and ate Chick-fil-A there, it went viral. He said it's viral in Atlanta. And he said, Karras, you should have seen all the black folks that was there. And my friend was like, yeah, I think Trump's got the black vote.
Can you please do it in his voice? My African American.
I'm eating Chick-fil-A sandwiches. The pickle's so good. So good, it's bigly. And I'm eating with my African Americans in establishment owned by African Americans.
Prepared by African American hands.
You mean, man, hold on, man. Are people still falling for that? Left or right, they still go do the same thing. They go end up going to on the same arrow.
Yeah, no, they are, but it's funny because I had to laugh about that, and I said, the funny thing is, and I told him this, I said the funny thing is that when I watched the Civil War,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the synopsis that they had in like the Daily Mail, well, or not, excuse me, not Daily Mail. It was another one. I think it was like Yahoo or something. It was, well, this is what will be like with MAGA, right? Everybody wants to start pointing and accusing everyone and things of that nature. This is what will happen with MAGA. And I look at that and I'm like, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I say, really, the thing that I consider this is And now, hear me out, because this is where I was trying to go to after my hour-long, analysis or synopsis of the Civil War movie. But this is what I was thinking: how did they get there? Why would they not? Why would you not see black folks in the U.S. Army or U.S. military
Mm-hmm.
that were actively fighting? Why would you have black folks that were trying to line up for water, and then a white woman blow it up as a terrorist operation? Here's the thing. This is just me speculating. This is just me speculating of why they did not want to show you, but they're trying to show you. They're trying to give you a glimpse without really saying this. Why I had to allude to the OJ situation. Because there is now a real concern. How does the U.S. really get messed up? How does the U.S. really get messed up? It's not by any type of militaries. It's not by any type of quote unquote terrorist. The
They
way
use the
that
media.
no, it's not even by the media. The way that the U.S. really gets messed up and would really literally buckle at its knees is if black folks had come together and said, we're no longer participating in this society. And they were to do an active national campaign.
Well, I'm looking at it like this. You have that movie that came out, and then you had OJ who died.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all they did was just rehash 1994.
Bingo.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. That's what Mike, that's what we're trying to say. Why? Y'all,
Mm-hmm.
if that's how you look, he wasn't the greatest of us, of our people. I get it. But man, y'all don't even have that much smoke. If that was a white person, a white man, if he had done that to a black woman, come on. Now, do you understand? Now what they're doing is they're showing their hypocrisy. And now that hypocrisy is festering. It's festering. It's
And just to
festering.
chime in, I was talking about that documentary again. I think it was ESPN who did it, the Six Doc. But they also were talking about Rodney King and his verdict and how, obviously we know the history after that and the riots and whatnot. And then you hear all the interviews and the sentiments from the one of the cops and all those people are like, why would you destroy your own community? And then I say to myself, oh man, like you think this is our community, yet you don't give us a fair shot or any type of socio-economic power like that old trope. Why would you destroy your own community? It isn't our community. This place is a prison for us. Like so for to have that foresight, and to understand to that revelation is kind of sobering. It's just like you realize how the gaslighting is so like complex with some of these people that some of our people just won't be able to pick it up unless you have discernment from the Most High. Honestly,
Well, I mean, I look at it like this, Garv. I mean, yeah, what you're saying. But at the same time, it was Yacoba said this a year ago. We got to be put in an uncomfortable position in order for us to come to the realization this is not your place, and they're letting it be known. That's how I look at it.
Wait. How did that happen? How does this all happen right after the eclipse? Come on now. Come on now.
I mean, yeah.
Man, now you might go ahead and put some oil on that slide, cause we about to go down a slippery slope.
But you see what I'm saying? Because now it's
Yeah.
gonna be, wait a second, wait, hold on now. I get it that he wasn't a great person. I get it that he wasn't really all there. But let me tell you this. If you want to exact monies from OJ, then guess what? Y'all got to pay some reparations first.
Mm.
Let's be honest. If you want a debt to be paid, then guess what? The biggest debt is staring in front of your face, talking to you right now. And guess what? We utilized all your systems, we utilized all your laws, and guess what? Sorry, you used your loopholes, and you got mad about it.
Oh boy, did they! And literally, when they were asking him, he's like, if you were a middle class person, what do you think would happen? He said, I would have no shot, and we all know that, and he knows that, and he kind of like, I'm not gonna say, well, yeah, he did. He did rub it in their face that um, he could financially back himself and get the best legal counsel he could, and that definitely pissed him off as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So now, look, they're saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go after OJ and his money and everything else." I'm like, you say that, and you're literally rubbing it in the face of black people that even after death, we still owe you. Even after death, to me, they're gonna go on a slippery slope.
Oh yeah, I think they already own it myself. And on that slope, ain't no coming back from that. There's no coming back from that slope.
They're going to go on a slippery slope of no return, even after the UN had said something about paying black folks reparations a couple weeks ago. And now
They did?
here you are at this. Now what they did, they just showed themselves. They showed their faces. They didn't want to show their faces, but they did.
Wait a minute, hold on, Caris. Were you saying the United States was talking about reparation for black people? Or you talking about for the issue?
No, this is the UN. This is the UN.
Oh, the UN. Yeah. All right, UN. All right, all right.
UN talking about the United States paying black people reparations.
Okay, I misheard. I misheard you. All right.
Yeah. And now you see this. I look at it like this, because in the movie, right, they didn't have any other nations coming through to help. There were no NATO members. There was no coalition of the willing. Everybody had deserted the United States. Why is that? Because people were finding out, and people were figuring on out, I can't support any type of a racist government. You think that, look, you really think that Europe, all those Europeans on out there are going to come to the help of the United States? Absolutely not.
You're going back into the book of Obadiah.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Turn on.
Yeah, they're going to say, see, we knew that they were going to do that to themselves, and we're here with you. That's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to say. Yeah, they had it coming, because look, we were trying to talk to them about their racism and everything else, and see, we had to make strides to, have everything clear, and that's what they're going to say.
Yeah, I was noticing that, at least last year, they was coming out with a commercial showing interracial couples. They showed a few black men with white women, not many. But they show a lot of white men with black women, and white women having a mixed child. And yeah, it was all a front.
It was all a front.
It's all a front.
Why? Because they're trying to show the face that's really not there.
I mean,
that was the whole point. Like with the Civil War, you had the journalists there to capture everything, and the journalists were capturing things that they didn't want to have captured. and it was a pit. This is the worst part. I'm not gonna say it. Y'all, when y'all see the movie and you see the pit scene, you'll understand.
And I just want
Mm.
to say one quick thing. The new, I don't know if you saw the Romeo and Juliet casting with Tom Holland and some other actress. That's gonna be the next one. The new Juliet and Romeo movie. Who they have for the casting? Just
Mm,
to add.
yeah, yeah. This is gonna be, to me. I was like, yeah, they want this as a dog whistle. But if you don't understand the dog whistles, you're just gonna look at it like, oh well, okay, all right. No, there are some big dog whistles in that one.
Mm, mm, mm.
And how do you get there? How do you get there? Look, I look at it like what you just saw here. With not even 24 hours in the ground, not even 24 hours since OJ left this side of the.
And he just had to leave a day before the movie come out. Well, you seen it yesterday. I mean,
He left the day of the movie coming out.
day
Yeah, he
of the
left the
movie.
day of. Yeah,
And
I
now
learned.
it's all on the news. You got it with this movie. You got the movie already. Hey, let's rehash
Bingo!
1994. Let's move on
Yes!
this.
Okay,
You
Mm.
know
well,
our
you
people
guys
are
have to
going to be
explain it
seeing
a little bit
this.
more because, like I said, in '94, I was like, what, uh,
Because
5.
here's the thing. Here's the thing, and I'm not condoning violence. That's why I said I don't want to
What
cause
happened in
violence.
'94 besides the whole Bronco thing?
Well, I mean,
That was off the
well,
cusp of Rodney King. You still had the cusp of Rodney King still smoldering,
yeah,
throughout the United States.
I
And
can
this
we just
and
get
this
along?
and this is going to be one of those things of, hey, I thought we can all just get along. I thought that we can all just get along. And then we're going to
Mhm.
be saying it to them, hey, if you're going to go after OJ's money, then guess what? Then there's a generational debt that's supposed to be paid to us. With what? The rapes, the murders, the killing of our people, the dismemberments, the torture of our people? No. And you're trying to tell me that's something that I should get over? But you can't get over OJ, so you're telling me that this is something that we should get over. Your hypocrisy is now worn you out.
Their contention of us has reached a boiling point, and our tolerance of them has reached a boiling point.
Well, they
Yeah.
don't. I mean, one thing about it, they don't. They do not see themselves in a judgment situation. They do
No.
not.
No. But until when? The only thing that they see in a judgment situation is if black people say, you want to know what? Forget this system. I'm done with it. Well, what are you going to do? Are you just going to stop working and quitting? And I wanted to break this on down. I wanted to break this on down. Remember, they always try to tell us we're 13% of the population. I don't believe we're 13%. I believe that we're definitely over 30%. I believe we are. Remember, for a long time, they didn't want to count our population in the prison systems. They didn't want to do that. They got in trouble. I believe they got in trouble by the UN because they weren't counting the census right. So remember the last census, they actually had to, redo the numbers, and I believe the census is still being revised.
Yeah, that was calling. Matter of fact, they took some of the census from overseas to the United States, and there was some individuals that were suing for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
They was claiming they said I'm black,
Yes.
but they told them no, you're European.
Yep. Exactly. Because
I
why?
mean,
Because why?
I'm
Because
sorry, go
they
ahead.
always want to make sure that they're balancing out the numbers to say that we're quote unquote 13%. And we were literally more than that, even getting off the plantation.
Just the number
Just-
13 in of itself is witchcraft. Just to chime in.
and then they lied about the size of Africa. I mean, man, you can ride from one place here and go to, man, it go take you a couple hours to get there, and you in the same, you still in the city.
Yeah. But let
So I
me,
mean, they went down. They have everything.
so
They have.
Mike,
Go ahead, brother.
let me break this on down so you can see what I'm saying. Okay. Let me
Yeah.
say this. So Mike, if 30% of black folks just said, we're done participating in the system, we're done with
Mhm.
working, I don't care, shut everything off. We're done with paying for bills, I don't care, repo everything. Kick me out of my apartment, kick me out of my house. Go ahead and do it. I will guarantee you that if we said that, the economy will crash in less than 2 weeks.
Brother, I think it'll be done in one day.
And possibly one day. Exactly. You
Um,
want to leave your job? You want to leave your benefits? You want to leave yeah. Yeah, until you all fix this system. We're not responsible for fixing the system. You're responsible for it.
mm.
And
See,
it's
I
funny.
believe.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
go
go ahead.
ahead. No, I
Be-
believe that is what they're on course for. Because why? Because remember all of the placating and all the the sweet talk and everything else. Oh, we're gonna do. Oh, we're gonna do, and then they didn't do anything. And now here you are at this precipice where it was like, look, we done gave you a couple years and you still never did what you had claimed that you were going to do.
And they,
And now,
I'll say this.
yeah, go ahead,
I'm
go ahead, go
I'm
ahead.
okay.
waiting.
I was saying when I was friends with them, I used to hear that like, well, yeah, when I was still maybe because I mean I was unemployed. They're like, you're just gonna do nothing and you got to do something. Like I've heard that before too, so that's not crazy. I literally verbatim what you say. You can't just not do anything, blah 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 type thing. And
I don't
then
I
also
don't think we would do anything. I think to be honest, I think we would probably have more of a economic um containment to where we're trading with each other, where we're bartering with each other for goods, services, things of that nature.
That's
I
the fear, though.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
fear.
Yeah,
and
how
then
are you able
also
to ship this via Amazon? How are you able to do this? Well, I have my groceries here from this person because I make this with this, and then I can do that with that. See, that that level of sophistication of being, as Red had said earlier, being mercantile. Oh, we'll get it together. Oh, we'll get it together. Oh, you need some help over here. You need some help with this over there. Hey, you're doing things with this over here at Quest Night Africa. You need some help over here with getting things over at Region 6. Oh, there's a lot of opportunities.
A lot.
And the only other point I'll make is also I remember when I used to scrutinize the system and the injustices, and then they just be like, "Oh, you're just not in a place where you're in your career where you're comfortable, so you're just mad at everyone else," type thing. But at the same time, they'll also say, Garth is the most read and has the best vocabulary out of all of us, and he's probably the most educated out of all of us. They literally, that's what I got. But I was too, you know, civil and
And
still like trying to be like buddy buddy and say, oh, these are my friends. They just don't understand. No, I gotta make them understand like what my plight is and blah blah blah. But nah, then I just smartened up and realized it's just a vexation of my spirit to be amongst those people.
well, here's the reality that that they run into, and they know that if we were to say, you know what, we're done. How are you going to make money? How are you going to do this? No, we got some things on over here. Who's that? Look, they would try to shut down every single bank account. They would try to shut down any type of payment systems and things that we have. You want to know why? Because they did that to us last year.
Surely did.
They tried to kill the baby last year. We survived. We
Yeah.
survived the sword of
Yeah,
Pharaoh.
yep,
For real,
we
for
did.
real.
For real. I
We
mean,
That
there's
was the
still
worst.
people
That
actively
was
trying
the
to.
worst year for Black people.
There's st-
2023.
I see people still in. Well, let me. I'll when we're on the board, I'll mention something. Let me shut up. No.
No, but that was it. Look, we have folks trying to destroy us from the inside and on the outside. Because why? Because that was something, it was a scary notion to actually work together, to do something together. That's
Well,
why
I mean,
that's why when I see, when I saw the the movie and realizing what was going on, I think, to be honest, this is just my personal analysis of it. They were taking all they were rounding up black folks out of these areas, these rural areas, because why? There wasn't really strength in numbers. They were in Charlottesville, or not Charlottesville, but they're in somewhere in West Virginia. They were in West Virginia. And the black folks in West Virginia, again, there was black folks, it was Hispanics and Asians, and they were there. They were there being guarded by the UN. But why is that? Because they had to try to recoup their economic positions. Hey, if black folks aren't working, we got to get them out of their homes. Because why? Because they're no longer in the system per se. And if
well,
you're being productive outside of their system, then they're going to say, oh, you're doing something illegal or nefarious or yada yada, right? That's the whole production, right? The process. Go ahead, Mike.
I look at it like this, brother. GPS, a black woman. The internet, a black man. The traffic light, a black man. Let's just take all of these black inventors that the world kept in the closet, but kept the Gentiles out there as if these are the inventors, and which in essence, they were the thieves. Now, you take this here, and if you hate these particular people that much, and you have a power where you can, hey, pay them, send them back to where they came from, but they won't do that. That's just way too much like right, and it's way too much. I would shoot myself in the foot if I did that, because they don't need us. And I'm quite sure they realizing, or no, they don't need us. These people, the innovation that they have right now will demolish them, period. You let all black people go back to that continent and start trading with them themselves. No, bro. Mm-mm. Who gonna need who? We in the United States right now. Who built that? Black people. And the world knows it, and they know it. Who's entertaining these people? Black people. The world knows it. But yet instead they hate you. They hate you. Now you have this situation where you have a nation over there, deleting people. And it seems to me, and I could be wrong, we need a guinea pig to cover up for what we are doing. We know we telling this country, hey, you don't need to. Yeah, I understand. So Syria got attacked, but do not attack them, Iran. How are you gonna tell somebody what not to do, and you just attack somebody else? So it's like they need the biggest guinea pig to continue to do what they're doing. And why is our people always that scapegoat for them. And it seems like this is the strongest time of them using us as a pig. And we ain't got diddly squat to do with neither side. Neither side. That's what I'm seeing. That is exactly what I'm seeing. And it seemed like no, they're trying their best to ham us up. I mean, what, they tried the money? They went in on $1. I mean, brother, you talking about, hey, Garb, you're talking about educated brothers and sisters, highly educated, that was used to making $200,000 and $300,000 a year, and they unemployed. Now you come on now, come on. And then black people start waking up to this political system, bro. We still do not have a crime bill. And how long black people been here?
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
This is true.
Let me see. The alphabet people, they got one, and they are not a nation. Well, let me see. I can't call them a nation. I mean, can't say they're not a nation. I mean, what can you say? Let's just say that
identification, not a nation, but an identification. Well, actually,
all righty. If that's what we need to say, so be it. And that's what we're seeing. How you can jump over a race of people and give something to a people that truthfully, I can't say they're not a race of people because there's all type of races in it. But at the same time, but you leave this particular people out of the scenario of protection. Man, please.
Well, let me now backtrack this into what we're doing at Q2UA Africa. What we are witnessing and what we've seen in this day and age, don't think that it's not going to allude to what's been going on. I look at the OJ passing.
Mm-hmm.
To me, yeah, that's going to be a fire starter. And then there's going to probably be something else that's going to be another fire starter. What always happens, April, then May, then, something's going to pop off in June.
What is it going to be? Is it going to be the Birth of a Nation, the 1914 movie? That's the last time they really truly got them riled up when they showed that movie.
George Floyd, they were pretty riled up.
I don't know. Look, this movie could probably rile up some folks too.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can believe it now. But I'm just looking at what you just said, though. I'm looking at O.J. Simpson. Hey,
you know what though? You know what though? That was a big one.
Yeah.
It did not go so well if you're of Asian descent in this movie. That was a big one. Oh, yeah, that was the scene. I said I wasn't going to talk about that scene, so I'm gonna leave that so you all can,
I can only infer.
Take time,
inference.
And take a look. Yeah, take
context clues.
Yeah, when I would listen, I don't normally endorse movies, to go to the movie theater and everything else. If you have $15, go to the movie theaters, check it on out. Go to the matinee, check it on out.
They've been blatant with these movies, man. They've been blatant, man. I mean, could you now? Was it when did Leave the World Behind come out? What month was that? October?
In December.
It came out in December?
Yes. You see the ominous timing?
Yeah, because I know because you pulled it up, I think we had a discussion, and the next day we had another discussion, and then you started showing the clips of Civil War.
Oh yeah, no, I want to go over this. I think Monday. I said I think on Monday we'll go more over this because there's a lot to digest, and I want to give people a chance to go on out and take a look.
It's getting, man. I don't know. I mean, this is a Rojo moment.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah,
Truthfully.
yeah. And now
Yeah.
it was very interesting because even in the places like your Northeast, where you wouldn't like have your traditional, racism and things of that nature, no, it didn't care. Everything and everybody was coming out.
But you said something earlier, Karis, that hey, it ain't like Trump got the black vote. Now, where's all this other hatred coming from then? All right, you got voting for you. Hey, what's going on? You got a measure of black people behind you. Hey,
Th-
where's the protection?
Well, because here's the thing: the word already said that we were given to a foolish nation.
Well, yeah.
So they don't care. They're just thinking, okay, that's the way it was always supposed to be. That was the way that it was always. Look. Do you think that with all these things getting ready to start and pop off? I mean, I saw an article the other day. It said that that Iranian attack on that that Eastern Mediterranean state
Mhm.
or nation is getting ready to happen in 2 days.
Ramadan ended yesterday here.
Yeah, yeah. The Ishtar, the Iftar, Eid
Mm.
al-Fitr. Yeah, they do Ramadan, then they do Eid al-Fitr. They kind of combine them in for that Ramadan season. So they'll do their dinners, and then they got their prayers. Today's Friday prayers, and then tomorrow they're off at work. And that's why they say in 2 days, because afterwards, they've been, reconstituting themselves, which is what it is. You got to get that food back in you.
But now, I mean, at least I read on one of the news feed that the United States was trying to pull back a little bit and trying to get the other people to do the same thing and saying that hey, that this is over with.
Oh, yeah, no. That to me that's a lie because here's the thing. The US can't pull back. So you got to remember and I want to bring this into the economics of this. They're telling you that the economy is great. The gold is telling you that the economy is not great. What do you believe? Fiat or gold?
The thing that could pass through fire.
Bingo. Thank you, Garth. That is a biblical precept. Fiat cannot pass through fire. Gold can. So you can manipulate fiat as much as possible. And then say the economy's good, everything's good, and yada yada. But these folks are purchasing gold because they realize what is going on.
Wow.
Iran to me is they're just getting the word from Russia and China of when they're going to be allowed to coordinate because war is expensive. War is expensive. No matter how many years you may have been stockpiling weapons and things of that nature, you're going to hit about 50% usage, and then you have to kick that economy into a wartime economy to then build your stocks back up. You don't want your
Hmm.
stocks to fall below, like 80% of your stocks, your ammo. So when they start, they want to make sure that ammunition factories are running. They want to make sure that all the shells and shell casings are going because believe it or not, like they had some very like discouraging figure. Russia produces like 1.2 million like items of ammunition a month, while the rest of the world is only like at about 200,000 a month. Man, they got them on that war, But the thing is we're not looking at we only look in terms of where they want to direct you to look. No, those items of 1.2 million, guess what? That's not all used by the Russians. Why would you need to have that many? And they're trying to tell you why their Russian economy is so successful. Because other nations are buying their weapons, and that's why their economy is a very strong economy in this wartime situation. Because it's going over to other nations to produce and be used. The supply chain is trickling down to who? To Iran. It's not that hard to put it on the Caspian Sea and then float it on down. It's going to where? Other Central Asian nations. So why? So they have their weapons. So then they're coming through, and guess what they're going to do? Join the party, either on the east or in the west, or in the south.
I just seen somebody post saying gold is like 2,400. Is that true?
It is true.
What?
Yes, it is true, Mike.
It's gonna be as high almost as Andre 3 Stacks. It's about to go to 3,000.
I'd say it'll probably go to 3,000, and I'd say in about 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, it'll probably go to 3,000.
Bruh. All right. So if gold hit 3,000, where's the dollar gonna be at?
The dollar's declining.
Well, I know it's declining, but I mean, wow. And so Bitcoin will continue to go up as
That's
a front.
correct. Yeah, that's correct, because there has to be another artificial mechanism.
And that's what they're pushing, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, ain't that crazy?
And the funny thing is, for Bitcoin to work, you have to actually have service, cellular, telecommunications, and electricity, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Nobody was able to have access to electricity. Electricity had been cut in certain areas, in certain towns. And phones weren't working. The only thing that they had on was satellite communications, and they were able to do things certain times of the day. But they were basically just out there on their own as journalists. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Wow. And you think in 2 weeks you think it's going to hit 3,000?
I believe it could. The reason it could is because with Iran doing something, the moment that Iran has an action to do something, so you have to think about how the war is actually fought. It's not just fought with Iran and and the Houthis. It's fought with China on the economic side, and it's also fought with Russia on the really military and economic. Because why? Because to me, it looks as though the Ukrainians are kind of out of control. It looks to me the Ukrainians are out of control. They said, no, we're not going to just listen to you anymore. They're telling this to the United States. We're not just going to listen to you because we need more weapons. And what are they doing? What are they doing? They're blowing up Russian oil. And Russia doesn't care if you blow up the oil. Who cares? You want to blow up my oil? All right, that's fine. Doesn't mean that since you blew up my oil that you're going to stop needing oil. That just means that you blow up my oil, so the price of oil on my side of the house is going to rise. And then what does that do? Then they're going to say, well, if his stuff is rising, then supply is going to get cut. So that means I have to now, account for costs. So everybody else's oil is going to rise. That's economics 101. Now they're not going to get it from Africa. Africa is now loosening or tightening its belt.
You ain't joking. They doing that deep.
Yeah, they're tightening the belt. Now, we have to have stuff for our people. We can't do that right now. Because you want to know why? Because the Sahel, Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, and now even Senegal are now starting to say we need to keep these things in house.
I'm telling you, man. There's a lot of hatred for these people out here. They're thinking they hating us. I mean, that's a great deal of hatred out there. They're tired of the meddling of the West with all these different nations, and now they just a bully one day. A bully will always be tested.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're here at that particular time. And I think it's just going to be a time where you done so much dirt and hate till when you are not lifeless, they still go beat you one inch of your life. And that's what I'm seeing. I mean, I seen there are some newscasts out here saying that, hey, the United States has lost this what's their position as a world power, the title rather, And I'm like, I can see it. But this is what this is what they put themselves into. And then they said, like they telling Iran not to attack and all that. But yet and still, like one politician said, you still giving, sending funding to the people who's doing the damage. Who are you to tell someone else not to attack, and you still giving them the strength to do what they want to do? And you just said it, Karis, like the scripture said, a foolish nation. How in the world you go turn back around to not to protect themselves? Let me sit here and let me slap you in your face, but you can't slap me back. They told our people that, was it Jackie Robinson, the baseball player in that movie? Hey, they gonna call you this, they gonna call you that, and they may even spit in your face, but you cannot fight back.
Yep.
This is where we at now, but they ain't saying that to us now. They saying that to the rest of the world. I mean, I could be wrong, but this is what they're saying to the world. Let us do what we're going to do, but you cannot get upset at what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And please, you got to drink a bottle of Hennessy behind that to be that stupid. And I think that it's very thought provoking, and at the same time, you look at it and you kind of say it's stupid at the same time. But somehow they managed to put us right back in the forefront. Oh, they got the media. Man, I think the media is the worst thing that can be. That's the worst thing for Black people is the media, because they control it. They control the narrative. And the thing that's keep on popping up in my head, he just had to die the day of this movie. Man. I mean, I don't know if they gave him a shot or what. I mean, you got cancer already. Hey, why don't you let us make you comfortable? Man, please. I mean, truthfully, I didn't even know the brother was sick.
Oh yeah, no, he had cancer for a while, and he was trying to. Didn't he get out? I thought he got out of jail because of the cancer. Because remember, a couple years ago, they were trying to set him up. Well, they did set him up. He took the bait to try to get some of his paraphernalia back. His little items, the Heisman, other things.
Yeah, I remember that. That.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And then they were like, oh, he was paroled. Okay, thank you, brother Eric. He said he was paroled. Yeah, they were trying to have him do like a couple years, and I think part of his parole was because he could I think he went back to Florida. He didn't stay in Nevada. He went back to Florida.
Old OJ.
OJ was on Cameron Bates podcast. Told me he had cancer a couple of days ago. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sure they took him out.
Yeah, let us make you comfortable. We can give you some. You have sweet dreams. Yeah, yeah. And then here come the movie.
Yeah, he was on life support. They made. Yeah. That listen. Nobody wants to go that way.
Wow. And I just found out a few hours ago, and I was like, I don't believe everything that's on Facebook. They was talking about one brother, he's supposed to have been deleted for a few months ago, and he was like, "Look here, I'm still living." Boom, boom, boom. When they said OJ, I was like, "Man, please, I don't, But as I kept on going down, I'm like, "Wait a minute, man. Let me just check and make sure this brother is, is he gone?" And then come to find out, yeah, he was. And I'm like, okay. And YouTube had all the news on him and everything, showing back in the 70s, man, when he was running through Hertz. And that's, truthfully, bro, I knew he played football, but that's how he came into everybody's household, was through Hertz.
Yeah.
That commercial.
Yeah, jumping over. Yeah. Hurdling over folks.
Man. And but it just shows you, though, they will like you as long as you stay in your place. That white woman come up dead, man, please. No. You talking about lynching. And they ain't trying to do it. I don't know if I don't, let me leave that one alone.
Well,
I'm gonna leave that one alone.
That's what they were trying to do, but they didn't really get what they didn't get their man. Right?
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
That created an issue. It really did. It created an issue. So, however, why they were putting them in these predicaments and these situations, that should have been a tale of, hey, we even joked about it. I remember back in the day, we would joke about it like, look, don't pull an OJ. Remember that? Look, don't pull an OJ. That was in our vernacular. That was what we were saying. Look, you can't pull an OJ around here.
No. And Garth said he was like 4 or 5 years old. No, you got to go back and look at all the tapes and analyze it. You got to go back and look at all of it. Man, I tell you. But this one thing I would say about black people. Black people, as much as the world may talk about us and call a judgment out, we can hear a situation and we know when somebody is lying. That's one thing we do know. We have that together. Man, there was once. Do you remember the situation? It was some years ago. This Gentile lady claimed that this black guy kidnapped both of her kids.
Yes,
and she, that's but she killed. But she deleted both her boys. Then she drowned them.
She drowned
yes. Man, I think it was 2 days later, black people saying, she lying. Black people said, she lying. And then when they did the sketch of it, and they looked at the
That was the worst. That was the worst sketch in human history of a black man.
oh boy. We're like,
They're
this
like,
dude
that
don't
is-
even have a top lip.
that was the whitest looking black dude ever. And they were like even the police came on, they're like, yeah, this is a sketch. This is a sketch.
I mean,
They're looking
man,
at her the whole time. They're looking at the whole time like, you're about to get arrested because this don't even look like a black. Even the white folks are looking at her in the press conference like, yeah, she's about to get arrested because that ain't no brother. Oh my goodness.
it was so many black people like, she lying. It was like, she lying. And man, it was just something else. But I'm gonna tell you something. You had that situation that happened in Chicago a few months ago when the black guy talking about, I swear if you don't so and so, I'm gonna knock you out. And he started beating on this woman. But the boy came in there, and he defended his mother.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, what do black people do? They look at it and say, hey, he put it out there. And he had to pay the cost, whether he went to jail or whatever. But unfortunately, he had to pay with his life. All of that could have been avoided, and I've seen that plenty of times. And there was this one young black brother and his sister. She was waiting for the bus, but she had her hand in her purse because she lived in a bad neighborhood. Brother walked up on her and tried to rob her. And it's all caught on camera. And so, I mean, she pulled out her Reese's Pieces and she used it and hit him up under the left arm. And so he was running, but he collapsed. But then they was interviewing people in the neighborhood. Every last one of them said the same thing. Hey, he had no business trying to rob her. And that was their mentality. That's how we look at things. Now, in an OJ situation, I think it was so much of a high profile case. I think that was one time black people kind of turned the blind eye that time. Like, no.
Yeah, that was. And it's like, aren't you going to defend us? Aren't you going to say something? And black folks are like, man, look.
Yeah.
We knew OJ did it.
Think about it. Would Nicole be with him if he wasn't who he was? That's also another sentiment, but let me shut up.
Oh, God.
But
I mean, but this, yeah. I mean, man. We done seen the pros and we seen the cons. We seen it, and so I mean, hey. Now, I really believe they're seeing, hey, that little strong backbone we used to have is getting frail. Mm-hmm. It would appear to me that they are somewhat fearful, and they trying to muster up that strength again. And it's not coming back. It's not. I mean, that's gone. It's like these countries are, no, we're not worried about this. Let's orchestrate, see what we can do. And I seriously believe, I mean, I just don't see it. And I could be wrong. I'm not no military expert. But if these countries, China goes to war with Japan, and if Russia goes right down into Ukraine, what in the world can the United States do with two wars? And you support Israel. Now, that's just me using common sense. That's the question I have. What is it that you can possibly do to soothe out your position in this world? where you have this going on with Japan, and we ain't even, and you know what? And I haven't even mentioned North Korea. I mean, what? Where's this strength, or this strength is going to come from? Where you can hop in on Japan, or you can hop in on Ukraine. Nah, bro, I just don't see it. I see a massive. I can see one thing. I can see a massive destruction. That's one thing I can see.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot coming down the pipe. This is something that we're preparing for. It's not a question of to me, it's not a question of if. It's a question of when. When it does happen, what will things look like? When it does
Yeah.
happen, how prepared are we? When it does happen, what has the Most High allowed us to do to to have in place for that scenario, that situation? So, family, I ask you right now, please help us help support what the mission that Brother Mike is on in Q2UA Africa in Tanzania, to be able to get things taken care of. Family, there are some things done in Tanzania that was really beyond our control. And Mike is on out there putting the pieces together.
And
really,
these brothers are loving it too.
yeah, and we need your help. We need your help. I think the Most High that we got into Tanzania, but we didn't realize how restrictive Tanzania was. It is. It is. When you're trying to do a business or create something on out there, there are a lot of fees and other things that happen. So we ask for your help with that. We've been able to maintain the office, but we got to get on in there to actually have the office generate revenues. It's a great idea. People want to utilize the office, and that's part of our strategy for how we are able to create the mechanisms for investment opportunities and strategies. But let me just tell you this, family, there was a lot of red tape associated with this. A lot of red tape.
That's how you want to paint it with red tape. You better put a little, a lot more colors, man. And shoot, it was very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Yes. Yeah, and when they said, "Hey, we need somebody on the ground to get this stuff done," they truly meant it. That was not just just said just because. No, they meant that, because there are other hidden charges and hidden fees that we did not understand at that time. We were trying to figure out, what do they mean with this, or what do they mean with that, or can we do this, or can we do that? And over the course of time, we have been able to navigate Tanzania, but it does create some issues. And yeah, I know what you're saying, Fort Living Room Homestead. Yeah, we already have that coming through with business and things of that nature. But let me also tell you, even when you're living in the interior, you're going to be paying a little bit more, because guess what? You get your goods. You get your goods from either Kenya or Tanzania. That's how it goes. You're landlocked. Yeah, you're landlocked.
Oh, they asked a question. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so you're going to have logistical challenges on that just anyway. But Tanzania is still great, and this is why you have to understand the colonialism and the colonial mindset is something that hinders business. They want to do business, but really they get in their own way. I mean, look at what we just saw with Rudo earlier this week, and the his interactions with the Gates Foundation. I'm just saying those are the things that we're always trying to understand and navigate around, because if you don't know, you don't know. And who's going to tell them that? Well, I've been told this, I've been told that, and you know what? It's this person's face that said everything is fine, and we're just over here in the United States enjoying ourselves with the same things that they're saying that we have that they're trying to do to them. And that's a lie. Being able to have us separated, you have the ability to divide and conquer. That's it. Yeah, Tanzania is it is. It is many. But it doesn't mean that it's impossible. It just means that it's a challenge. And we've been
Yeah,
able
but
to get through these challenges. We've been able to work through these challenges, but those challenges, they require resources. This is how we are able to do things, to get things up and going, up and moving. So then there's economic opportunities of investment vehicles. Economic opportunities for investment vehicles. But we have to be able to plant our flag in at least one location. We have to plant the flag. We have to show a stability. And the Most High is going to allow for it to happen.
and I think that's happening already myself. That's just me. I think it's happening.
No, Diana G, no, Tanzania is not going to do that. Because you want to know why? Because we're not out there having a representation. We have to look, and there's a process to this. We always want to have things given to us, and I get it. I want that too. But we have to show up. Think about this. They're trying to say they're in charge because why? Because back in the 1960s, they got a chance to to be in charge, quote unquote. But they really weren't in charge. All they were given were basically puppets. They gave a black face for their continued support. That's how it went, and that's how it goes even to this day. But they can't say that because they know, well, at least we got something, and at least we're not recolonized. That's what they're happy about. They're happy that they're just not recolonized.
Again, like OJ, they made like this figure that we all kind of aspired to be, but we all know that that isn't real.
Exactly.
Kind of like it's all OJ keeps on popping up, but that's a reoccurring theme. It's just like they see that, and yeah, they know their struggle is overbearing, and they like these challenges that they face, but they allow these people to be propped up in these figures. So hey, we can control these figures, so you could aspire to be that, and that won't mess up the status quo.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that the brothers here, I think they're wakening up to what's really going on, at least in the United States. At least in the United States, they're seeing the struggles that the brothers and sisters are having there. And, when I talk to the brothers here, they said, they recognize me. But man, I never thought in a million years that these brothers, they watch Roots yearly. They literally, when it comes out, they literally sit down and watch Roots. I was shocked.
What? That's crazy. That's actually good. That's crazy, but good. But
I
you
was
know,
shocked, bro. I'm serious. I was absolutely shocked. And they watched both of them. The one that they said that the most is the one that's 1977. I think that was it 77?
Mm-hmm.
And then there was one for 2016. But they said it's the one that's from 1977. They said it comes out yearly. And
not,
they make
not
it their aim to watch it.
I'm sorry, but I just it popped up in my mind how again the inverse. We get shoved down that image of ourselves like on the daily, and since we were born in this country, they get the image of us succeeding, and it kind of coincides with this narrative of the divide and conquer. But like because if like you told us, hey, we're gonna watch Roots yearly, some of us would be like, come on, man, how long are we gonna be portrayed as slaves and whatnot? Whereas some of our brothers and sisters don't even know that history. It's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now I understand what you're saying, and things. It's the portrayal, but then at the same time, because now it can work in two different ways. They'll look at, hey, this is where you came from, and this is where African Americans are at now, and it will get off some type of, man, y'all came a long way. In essence, no, we didn't. But this is what they, just like what you're saying, it's what they're portraying. And I mean, these are the things we literally have to battle, because a lot of them still, hey, I want to go to America, but we with full blown knowledge, we're like, in our mind we're saying, you really truly don't want to go there. And for the brothers and sisters that are there that did come from Africa, talk to them. I talked to them. They say they work harder in the United States than they did in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
That's a known fact. They work harder. The fact was what got them is they got hooked on making money.
Mm.
And when you coming from a country where you don't make money like that, and you went to a country where you can make money like that, you barely go get any sleep. You barely go get any, and then you go ahead and you go buy a car, you buy a house, and then you taking pictures of everything you got. What do? Just like what African Americans done, you want to show it off to the world, and they send pictures back to their families. And what do their family do? We need some money. It's a vicious cycle, and it's truthfully it's a mindset. Isn't that what the sister Erica said? It's a mindset that you really truly have to go after to change your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that mindset ends with my generation because I'm the first generation born here, and I will not let that go on in my family, or I just keep on letting it. Even my cousins are like, nah, our parents are bugging about this place and what they've been fed. But then again, they've lived here so long that they understand, and they know, and they've gone through the racism enough to know that, hey, this is a trade-off. If you want to make money, you're just going to have to go through racism. And if you're okay with it, well, I don't know if you can be okay with it spiritually and physically and mentally. It's going to take a toll on you eventually.
Yeah, Saints. I think that, yeah, I do. I think the more we have our brothers and sisters here on a more so on the business mind set, because now you can, you bring in some technology to here, and some of the basic stuff, will be a landfall for a business. And you'll be surprised at some of the things we have talked about that They use it every time they build a house, and you can alleviate that from one and just do a process to eliminate some things. And I show them the end result of certain things, and a lot of them they're very appreciative, and they know where the technology lies. They know where it lies. They be saying, "Hey, we need for you brothers to come back home. We need the technology." Well, not only we have technology, we have a knowledge of how people work.
Mm-hmm.
We dealt with not just Gentiles. We dealt with the Asian. We didn't deal with everybody, and we have helped everybody. That's one thing we done. We have helped nations that came into this. It was like black people was the first. Hey, that's not right what you're doing, but they advanced in front of us. But it's prophetic. All of that is prophetic that they was going to do that. We're the human family that think humanly. They're not going to think the way we're thinking. I mean, at least not for the majority of them. But we continue to maintain and we press on. This is the only reason why we still here is by the grace of the Most High. We supposed to have been deleted a long time ago. If such was the situation.
Mission
yes.
have this organization.
Yes. And that's the beauty. And like what Kara was saying, the quest, what we're doing, you got, brother, I ran into some brothers here, and they would just, they were just happening. I was listening to Karis do his Covenant Awakening show. And one of the brothers, he said, isn't that brother Karis? I said, yeah, that's him. And so he said, man, I like that logo. Y'all got that in t-shirts? And so I said, yeah, we got t-shirts and it, it could be ordered, across seas or whatever, and things of that nature. But you got brothers right here say, hey, can I get a t-shirt of Quest Unite Africa? I don't know what it was about Karis, but they picked up on his voice. They picked up on his voice real quick. I mean, although Karis, we both was in Tiffany's, but they picked up, and I ain't even think these brothers, seeing Karis around here, because they look brand new to me. They're like they was just newly hired. No, they said no. I remember the brother that was with you, brother Karis. I said, yeah, but they heard his voice. They said, that him? Because I was, upstairs on the 9th floor playing this, and they said, yeah, and they were like, man, he has a YouTube channel. I'm like, yeah, but then I had another brother on there, but we had a bad connection that particular day. But no, these brothers are seeing us I ain't gonna say a tad bit. They seeing us a little bit. They seeing us differently because now they seeing what we're trying to do with Quest Unite Africa. They know about the technology. They know the desires of what we are trying to do. And also for the ones that, for the residents, they asking about what Cass was talking about, the business aspect and using that place as a things of that nature. Because if you got a business here, the first thing they ask, do you have an office? If you do not have an office, you don't have a business. You will not get that. That business will not open up. You got to have a office. And come to find out where Karis got this office at, that's the top dog office. They call it Poster. And we didn't even know it until one of the brothers said to me and said, oh, no. When you say Poster, you got respect right there. And I don't know. Truthfully, how do we end up with that office anyway, Karis?
Honestly, I don't know. But Bianca had showed us the office, and it looked, oh my goodness, it actually has a great view.
Yeah.
Of port of the location. It's a very nice location. It's an older building, but that's the character because it shows the character of of Dar Salaam. So yeah, it's a It was pretty. It was pretty interesting for and we looked at that, and it's like, oh, the rent's that. So yeah, so every month, family, we have to put up rent on that, and we're trying to get things together because out of there are a lot of opportunities. I can't say it online here on the YouTube channel, but we had spoken about that in the Invest in Africa seminar.
Mhm.
So being able to have that together, to have Q2UA shirts, logistic shirts, seminar shirt. Look, just the concept of business, just to be a jack of all trades, but concentrating on helping them to understand how to do business facilitation really in the 21st century. It's a difficult thing.
Yeah, I mean, when Uncle Mike says that if you don't have a flag staff or office front, you don't have a business. I mean, here you could start a business online and still, do it anywhere. I mean, that's kind of unfortunate that people can't just have online businesses yet, but eventually we will get there.
Yeah.
And also, they, like Kara said this a while ago, they don't move the way we move. When they say they go, hey, I'll be there in 20 minutes. Tag on 3 hours.
Yeah.
Tag on 3 hours. When their concept of how money moves is way off course. Put it that way. It's very, very off course because we know that if we move slow over here, and you're supposed to be having a meeting with this particular person, and you show up when you want to show up, you may lose that. More than likely, you're going to lose that contract. They do not move that way.
Mm-mm.
They do not. And when Kara said, he said, no, I think we was having a discussion. And I said 1970. He said, no, you better go to 1960s. This is how our brothers and sisters move.
Yeah.
But they want top dollar. And I'm like, how can you think you can move this way and then expect top dollar? It falls right back to what the sister said, Erica. It's a mindset.
Yeah,
it's a mindset. Yeah. Man, and I, don't get me wrong. And then I found that to be very frustrating, but at the same time, you got to take it with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm.
You have to deal with your brothers according to knowledge. And that's the way it is.
They depend on outsiders for the things and the jobs and whatever, so they purposely probably don't even give them good business practice or ethics just to sabotage them and leave them in derision like they do here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm quite sure they do. I mean, hey, man, I'm in this unit. You step outside this unit, they got clothes hanging up, bad roads, but hey, trust and believe. When I was a child, we did the same thing. We hung our clothes up on the line. We ain't too far off. Only thing about it is they've been pushed. They've been held back some years.
Yeah.
And things. And so now, water filtration. No, you cannot drink the water out the faucet.
No, you can't.
No, you can't. No, you can't do that one. No.
Unless you want to have a great a great what is that?
A cleanse?
Fast acting, cleanse. A great fast acting.
Yeah, I mean, hey, but I will say this: these brothers and sisters, they do hustle. If they gotta set up a little eatery, the only thing I do not care for, if you go up to the biblical side, there was laws that dealt with cleanliness. and mold, and how they had to make sure that they did not have that around. Now, especially when it's raining, that's one they'll tell you, do not eat at those type of restaurants.
Mm-mm.
They'll let you do not, you begging to get sick.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of those restaurants around here. Food may smell good. I never forget one time me and Karis sitting at the bar. Karis, we had some chicken wing, and Karis took one bite. Oh, nope, I'm not doing it. And me myself, I was like, ain't nothing wrong with it, you know. And I'm like, man, maybe I ate this stuff, man. The next day I was messed up.
Yeah, Mike was bad.
But I mean, it is what it is, and, but I mean, if they have a hustle about themselves, and for the majority of them, it's driving. It's driving. They're drive, and that's how they make their living. And I mean, when you have that one that has a uniform on, trust and believe, they go wear that uniform with pride, because it puts them in what's the word I'm looking for? It puts them in as someone of importance.
Gives them dignity.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, thank you. And so, I mean, and I can't knock that, because here they go to, like we said some months ago, they go to school to learn for housekeeping, working at a hotel, all that. You go to college for that. When you in the United States, no, you just walk up there, fill out the application, and go to work. But they take that on a whole different level. And you ask any one of them, they just want to work in the hotel industry. Period.
Mm.
And they have the mentality, of working for someone, and things of that nature. It's very few that come out and say, I want to do my own business. And for the ones I've seen thus far, it's the sisters that has the businesses here. However it is, they can have a bar, and one, she has a lighting company where she sells lights. She travels to China, buy lights, bring them back to Dar, and she light up her place, and that's what she does. But I've seen more sisters with, let me say, I'm not going to say high-end businesses. They just have the businesses that kind of stands out, And so, I mean, the men drives and things of that nature, not to put the brothers down, but they out here doing what they need to do in order to take care of their families. Mm-hmm. They are. That's one thing they are doing. They just look at it. It's the payout. Because you have to have medical insurance, and they said it runs you roughly like $200 a year per person. So you a brother with a wife, so that's $400. And if you got any kids, add 2 more hundreds to that. And this is what they got to come up with to pay, to have that insurance for their families. But their monthly income, they be doing good to be bringing home $200 a month. So I mean, you can see how the numbers do not match up. Mm-mm. They do not match up.
Yeah, you're gonna be in perpetual want. That's the whole apparatus. They want Western prices for goods and services, and you have folks that are giving Tanzanian wages. It's a trap. It's a debt trap. It's a debt game. That is the biggest debt trap. So when I try to tell you, it's like, look, we're trying to go on over there to even provide these type of services to Tanzanians so that they aren't paying the Western services. But it's hard because, you know, when we're bringing over printers and equipment and other things, those cost Western prices. You have a table and chairs that cost Western prices. You have TVs that cost Western prices, and the wages are Tanzanian wages. So you're going to tell me, okay, I need a service that's 50 cents, but you don't even really make $5 a week. It's hard. A lot of these companies that go on over there that try to do these things, they are only able to do it with grants. To do what? To perpetuate the same failed systems that go on. Because why? That's what the grants want. Oh yeah, it'll be easier in Burkina Faso. Don't overlook that the Trip family. Burkina Faso makes things easier because why? Because now African nations have to see and they have to be accountable. They actually now have to be accountable.
Yeah, I mean, Burkina Faso is a totally, I'm not gonna say totally different, but it is different because I was reading how the president and the government there are just basically, I'm not gonna say starting from scratch or anything, but they are really trying to build up.
They're starting from scratch. They're
Yeah,
starting
that's what I was about to say. I was about to say the same thing. They
had
start from scratch.
Yeah, they had the worst of the worst colonial experience. The worst of the worst.
And I think what you call is right behind them, though, Karis. Senegal.
Yeah.
I think they're right behind them.
Yeah, these are all French francophone nations, and they have the worst of the worst experience. Because you know, every colonizer tries to say, "Well, I'm not as bad as that colonizer." I mean, look how bad it's over there. You see what I'm saying? So Tanzania, you know, it's not as bad as Burkina Faso. You know what I'm saying? And then that's how they kind of rack and stack. Well, at least, you know, we have this, or at least we have that. But you get what I'm saying? It's like, well, but everybody's still very poor. Everybody's still giving their wealth away. And they're saying at least they're not as bad as that when they still can't control their wealth. You are all in the same pot. You didn't realize that you're all being boiled. Some are being boiled hotter. Some are being boiled on a low simmer. You're all still being boiled.
And that's what's happening. Now, with Tanzania, there's supposed to be like a no border thing when it comes to Tanzania, Rwanda, Uganda. There's supposed to be 7 countries that's supposed to be working together. I forgot all 7, but then I look at the 7 countries that broke away from France. Well, it's 8 now. Senegal is 8, right?
Yeah.
There's some major moves that are being made in Africa in order to get the boot off their necks. Hey, these are some necessary actions that are taking place, and yeah, it was a necessity that we at Quest Unite Africa continue to put up a fight to really work with Tanzania, because it's the hardest. It's the hardest one, and it needed to happen. Now, Uganda, Rwanda, not so much, but they're landlocked lands.
Yeah.
And that's what, because I mean, when Karis brought it to me, I was like, man, why don't we just go to Uganda then and be done with it? But then he looked at it. Those lands, you know, there are landlocked lands. You got 2 major ports in Tanzania. And it's only a matter of time before we break out with the donations and everything. We get everything up and run. No, then you go now. It's going to be there's going to be some strength. You're going to have strength behind. Now things can move a lot smoother. and you talking about the strength of the African American dollar, how we moved that money there and started to move it over the continent. Man, I mean, that right there within itself is, that's a strength. The only reason we moved with everybody else is because they taught us to divide ourselves. But if you're taking that 1.2 trillion strength and bringing it here where you be forced to do business here, you moving that amongst your own brothers and sisters. That's a strength. That's a stronger strength, matter of fact. It's just a stronger strength that I see that we have the potential of doing. That's how I see it, and how we can move money and things of that nature. Because, like, hey, I'm not bragging, but Black people, we are some smart people. We are some smart people, and the world knows it. You can take something that can be very minor, and a person can come up with something and make it monumental. But you when you stand back and look at it, say, that was simple. But only one person can come up with that idea and then execute it. Black people did that. Black people did that. And that's the beauty of us working together. That's the whole purpose of Quest Unite Africa. That's one of the purposes. Because the moment we do come together, Karis, I sent you a video of a young boy speaking about Africa. I don't know if you've seen it.
I probably haven't seen it yet.
Man, let me tell you something. That little Gentile, he lit into all other nations. He said, if you think that Africa would not rise to the occasion and not be a super world power, he said, you're only fooling yourself. He said the GDP shows what's about to happen to Africa from 2020 up to 2030. He said Africa will be a world power with a population growth. This little white, he broke it down. He broke it down. And the world knows what's about to happen with Africa. It's not fooling nobody. It's not. Everybody's over here. Everybody and their mother's over here in Africa. They're looking for this. Now it's raw materials for each and every last one in the country. And, you know, then at the same time, you got some that's being kicked out. Those days of talking about, oh, we're going to get this leader here, he go come. No, those days of leaders coming up missing. No, they're not even trying to entertain that now. There's a strength that Yah is putting up on his people. And it's taking place right now. And that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that strength getting stronger and stronger. We're succeeding. We're moving up. Yeah, you know, some of this stuff, man, don't get me wrong. Like Harris said earlier in the show, I was not on it. Speaking about the stress. Yes. When Karis told me some stuff, I was like, man, And I mean, we literally had to go back in time and like, we both was up under some stress, but we really, we seen where it came from and what we're trying to do. And it just wasn't just me and Karis, man. And the volunteers, they was up under stress. But when you're talking about doing something, what we're trying to do, you hang it up. You're going to meet up with roadblocks, difficult situations. You're going to do that. things where you need donations to come in to take care of this here so that we can move over this way. Those are the roadblocks that we have seen, and we dealt with them. We dealt with them, and yeah, right. Stress don't play. But can a nation be born in one day? That's the question. That's the question, and that's the stress that we have. When you start waking up to who you are and you start to put things in place and things, I mean, you start to see the laws and you try to abide by the laws and say, hey, we supposed to do this here because this is something we're not used to, but we trying our best to get used to it.
Yeah, so Mariah said what is required monthly. So on the Tanzanian end, what's required monthly is about 1,000 a month, because you have to pay for compliance. Yeah, you have to pay for compliance. Even when you're not doing business, you have to pay for compliance. And then that also includes rent and other services. It's about 1,000 a month. And then on top of that, then we still have our regular cost of doing business, cost of being a nonprofit, with getting ventures and things together for our mink kits that we're trying to plan for. We're trying to plan for an event, looks like sometime around June. We're also trying to plan for another Invest in Africa seminar, and we're getting the metrics and the details on that one. And those cost money. I think we've been able to address all the folks that have not been able to see the seminar from March 31st. I believe Brother Red was able to get that together and get that on out. And we're trying to find out a way to where we can get that available to those that were not able to enjoy the seminar the first time because they hadn't donated to the event, so they can see the value in the seminar. And all this knowledge is a value. Knowledge is a value. Knowledge and value that then comes together becomes a resource. The more of the knowledge and the value that you have that becomes a resource, the more of the wealth. Well, yes, Notorious Hebrew, that's what it is, because it's a colonization practice. We have to discuss that with the ministers of finance. We have to discuss all these things, because here's the thing. Someone asked a question, do the Arabs and the Chinese and the Indians, do they have to pay these exorbitant rates? And let me tell you the answer. You're going to be astonished. The answer is no. They don't have to pay the same exorbitant rates. You want to know why? Because they make concessions for them. We're just getting our foot in the door as a people, as a community. And now we have to be able to go on in there and say, look, we're adding this value that they don't bring on over. There's a nuance to this. There's a way that we have to handle this. Because remember, we are already coming on over there bad-mouthed. We don't really understand that our reputation has already been tarnished and thrown in mud. No matter how bad they're literally, how much they're showing the rest of the world who they are in these times. They've had literally a 400-year head start to tarnish our names and to throw our names in mud. It's not just about creating jobs. It's about literally getting our name back, getting our reputation back, getting our lineage, our inheritance, our um our legacy, getting that all back. No, they actually do want to change. But remember, if you've been under the gun for a while, what mechanism is there to change? It's exciting when they see Mike and I on over actually coming on over and saying, hey, we're here and we want to be able to do. We want to be able to provide. We want to be able to give and move like this. When they say seeing is believing, show up and show them how to do something. That's seeing. That's believing. They still operate in American dollars. Now, these other countries, that looks like they may be changing over to BRICS very, very soon.
What's that saying? Reach one to teach. Well, teach one to reach one.
Yeah, absolutely. Hallelujah. All right, family. I'm still recovering. I'm not gonna lie. I'm in the hurt factory. I've been I've been needing to wrap this on up for a while. So, Brother Mike, if you have any final comments.
Um, Stay faithful. Continue to look out for your brothers and sisters. As we see these days draw towards close. And to be encouraged, the brothers and sisters. And that's pretty much it. Stay prayed up. You hear me, Karis?
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear
All
you.
right.
All right. Thank you, Brother Mike. I appreciate it. Brother Garth.
Well, I'm gonna keep it short. Family, I just ask humbly, and you could pray about it, and just to realize that we are about to embark on this journey, not only for ourselves, but this is for everyone in the diaspora and all those on the continent. This trip to Burkina Faso. If you told me I was going to Burkina Faso 2 weeks ago, I would have been like, yeah, haha, that's funny. But it's crazy and miraculous that the Most High has opened this door personally for me. And I couldn't see it coming. And I was kind of taken back, but I realized that I need to walk in this window and everything will be taken care of by his provision and through his people. And I just humbly ask for you all to just give to the Burkina Faso trip or to continue giving, and you will be blessed. And we thank you for everything you've done, and we wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for the Most High and your love of the Most High to give and to help support this mission. And on that, I'll leave. Shalom.
All right. Shalom. Thank you, Brother Garth. Yeah, thank you, family, for your support. This Burkina Faso trip is going to be amazing. But we need to do the work right now. We got to continue to do that work. I don't know what's going to happen in these next couple of days, weeks, hours, months. I don't know. But what I do know is when you have the window to do something, you better use that window that the Most High has you open or is opening for you. It is going to be an amazing trip, an amazing opportunity for all of our people. And I can only do that with your help. We met the goal, but it doesn't stop there. We're beginning to understand what it is that we need to have with we called it training and employment initiatives for the workforce development strategy. This is what we talk about. How do you help to develop a nation? It's a workforce development strategy. How can you have manufacturing? How can you have telecommunications, IT, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, sewage, sanitation, and other community maintenance projects without any type of an education? Folks have to be trained on this, and then you train the trainer, and you train and you train, and then you have other community university involvement, not in the university system that we know, but an actual system of how people are trained and can be able to do and to facilitate and to innovate on the practices that they have been exposed to. And we're seeing that, and honestly, it blows our minds because we're literally being invited. We have been invited. Burkina Faso, they reached out to Her Excellency, Dr. Erica Chirimbori Kwao, through ADDI. So you had a government official talking to a former ambassador, and that former ambassador is asking on the behest of the government of Burkina Faso. And let me tell you this, family, it's not an easy process. One of us maybe would have been a little bit easier. Two of us, it's a challenge. But I know that this is a challenge that we can go and grow through. That's why, look, we have the Burkina Faso information that's still on up there, because we met the goal. We met the goal. And that goal was to send me. We met the goal. But then, of course, we always, you know how we are as a people. Well, you want to know what? Here's this or here's that. And yes, I will need to have an assistant to be able to generate and actually collect all the ideas, so then we can generate the appropriate responses. This is where you can donate. So yes, family, I would have to say this is a big, big deal. Last year, Mike and I went to the capital of Tanzania, Dodoma, and we sat down with just a few of the people. A few of the people. This year, we're sitting down in Burkina Faso with the government officials that's there that actually create the necessary responses. I'm going to tell you, you don't have red tape here. Because why? Because these are the decision makers. These are the policy makers. Okay. Some people don't even know how to put websites together. It's that simple. You're able to get on YouTube. You're able to get into these chats. You're able to comment. Because why? Because your links work. These are the simple things that we take for granted. So how can you say that they don't know what, or that they're not trying? Well, guess what? Do you understand that a lot of their stuff that they have done are done through Western nations that contract with their governments to do what? To provide terrible services. And then they're told, hey, this is the standard where these links are broken. Who QC'd this? Who quality controlled it? Who's our quality assurance person? Oh, don't worry. It's all, trust me. If you haven't learned how to do better, you don't know what better is. And then if you can't communicate, and guess what? If you came in here and you couldn't chat, if you tried to get on this live stream and then you couldn't get on the live stream, or the link was broken and you couldn't get to the link, oh, guarantee you would be mad and upset. Because why? Because you're used to things functioning. You wouldn't think, okay, well, Brother Kara's blocked you or banned you from the channel. No. You would just say, okay, something's going on with the YouTube, with the live stream. But I know Brother Karras, he wants me to be on the channel. He enjoys my participation. He reads my comments. We interact, and it's a value add. Well, let me tell you this. They want our participation, but guess what? They didn't realize that they were paying for somebody to block the access. That was inadvertent. They didn't know. They truly did not know what was going on and why it was happening. They did not know. So if that's the mindset here, yeah, we're in a gilded cage. It's a beautiful cage. Do you enjoy your beautiful cage? It is. It's very nice. Just don't say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing and be economically despaired. Because I can tell you firsthand, it's not fun. Coming up on this channel, on this platform, yeah, I'm economically despaired. Because I'm blacklisted for what? For telling you all the truth. Never thought I'd see that day. And I try to be the best. I think that I'm very, very moderate. Compared to most channels, I'm very, very moderate. I mean, I greet Hebrews, I greet Israelites, and I greet Gentiles. Yeah, this isn't a walk in the park for me. You know, when I had gotten sick on Sunday night, Monday morning, a part of me just said, "You want to know what, Karash? Your health isn't worth it for this." This is real easy to destroy somebody. I give the Most High praise. I truly do. But when I tell you, when you read Psalms that it's a sacrifice of praise, it truly is a sacrifice. Because you don't understand when you put your livelihood in jeopardy, and not just your livelihood, you're putting your health in jeopardy because of the stress. It's a constant stressor. This is why people literally walk away. And I had to think about that. Like, you know what? This may be my time. I have to walk away because, this is a concern of health. We're in a time that's of serious testing. I didn't want to be in this position. I didn't. But I thank the Most High that I see the awesome doors being opened. Yeah, so every single day, not every single day, thank the Most High I can rest. Thank the Most High I can rest on Shabbat. But I'm back at it on Sunday. I work Sunday through Friday. Literally. Sunday through Friday. And I get emails all the time. Brother Karras, you see my email? Sorry, no, I'm not joining your hate group. Sorry, no, I don't need a military or an army. Sorry, no. You all don't and can't believe the craziness that I deal with. And that just it takes a toil. It takes a toll. Yeah, I like to laugh. I like to have jokes. I do. But you all don't realize there are a lot of our people that really do need some serious help. Yeah, we want to come together, but honestly, we have a lot of attitudes. I see the attitudes just here in the chat. So you think that you're not going to take that attitude with you to the wilderness? Yes, you are. How come you didn't have any nice toilets and showers? And how come you all didn't have a good bed? You have a straw with the sheet on it. I'm not an animal. There may be some conditions that's what we're going to be at. These are sobering realities that we don't want to confront. But I said, thank you, Father, because as long as you give me health and strength, I'll continue going. I'll continue moving. So that's what I have, family. Thank you for joining me on this 3-hour Quest Unite Africa discussion Friday. I pray that it touched you. Continue to pray for this organization. Continue to keep me in your prayers. That's all I can say. Look, we're doing what the Most High needs us to do, and we ask for your support. May the Most High put it on your heart to support this trip and to support this organization, to support our endeavors. Because in the end, it's to benefit our people, all of us. So with that being said, family, I got to get up on out of here. With that, I'll be back on Monday, regularly scheduled, Most High willing, and we'll go from there. So with that said, family, shalom, salama, siyemi, shalom, peace and blessings. Peace and blessings to our people. To Yasharel and the stranger that pray for and support Yasharel.
Container packed with supplies that need to make their way to families in Africa, like yesterday. You said this is a 53-foot trailer? This trailer is packed with medical supplies destined to the motherland. We need to help get these out of here.